We now take a look at class salaried employee, which, as you can see here on line 4, extends our abstract superclass called employee. So we can now say that every salaried employee object is an employee. And that means, as we will see soon, that we can take an employee variable and aim it at a salaried employee object if we wish to. And through that employee variable, we will be able to access any members of a salaried employee object that were inherited originally from class employee. So that would be things like the set and get first name, set and get last name, set and get social security number, the earnings method, even though we didn't fully define it in class employee, and also the toString method as well. Now, for a salaried employee, in addition to the 3 pieces of data defined in class employee, we also have a private piece of data, the weekly salary, that will be used to calculate the earnings for a salaried employee. And as with any class that has data, we should have a constructor or a set of constructors that enable us to initialize that data. So here we have a constructor with 4 parameters. The first 3 represent the pieces that were inherited from class employee, and the last piece is the additional salary information. And as we talked about in our initial examples of class hierarchies, when you define a new subclass, you are required in your subclass constructors to call your superclass constructors either explicitly or implicitly. We have to use an explicit superclass constructor call here because of the fact that the superclass employee only has a constructor that requires arguments. So we take the first name, last name, and social security number information, and we send it up to the employee class constructor, which is not actually initializing an object of class employee, it's helping us initialize an object of class salaried employee. So when I create a salaried employee object, all of the memory for the salaried employee gets created, including the weekly salary and the 3 pieces that we specified for class employee. And then we use the salaried employees constructor to invoke the employee constructor for initializing the first 3 pieces, first name, last name, and social security number. And then set weekly salary here at line 13 will initialize the last piece of our salaried employee object. As we have in many of our examples, we've provided set and get methods for our piece of data that we added in this class, the weekly salary. And then the key pieces in this class for the polymorphism demonstration are these last 2 methods, the earnings method and the toString method. Now, if you take a look at the earnings method, first of all, you'll notice right away that the abstract keyword has been removed from what we originally defined back here in class employee. So here's the original declaration of the earnings method, where we see that it must be public, it must return a double, it must be called earnings, and in this case it must also receive no parameters. The abstract keyword goes away once you redefine the method, so the rest of the first line of the method looks just like the version in class employee. And inside the body now, we say how to calculate the earnings for this employee, which is as simple as returning the weekly salary, and it will be more complex for our other employee types. So now we've satisfied a requirement, which is that we have extended an abstract class called employee, which had an abstract method called earnings, and by redefining that earnings method here, we are now a concrete class definition, or we now have a concrete class definition. If we had not defined lines 29 through 32, then we would have to go back to the beginning of this class and insert between the public and class keywords the keyword abstract, otherwise this file would not compile. So it is important to make sure that we redefine or override this earnings method correctly. For example, if we accidentally spelled it wrong and gave it a capital E, that would not be the specific earnings method that we were required to define, and that could also cause a compiler error. Finally, we have a toString method here, and you'll notice in our toString method that part of what we are returning as the string format of a salaried employee is the result of this call to super.toString. We saw in the employee class that super.toString produces a string consisting of the first name, the last name, a new line character, and the social security number information. And we'd like to precede that with the words salaried employee, then the employee class's version of toString will go here. Then we'll have a new line character, and then we're going to output the string weekly salary and the value of the weekly salary for our salaried employee.
Looking to advance your career by acquiring new skills? Tired of expensive off-site training programs? Wish you could learn from the best instructors in the industry? Look no further than live lessons. Self-paced, personal video instruction by the world's leading technology publishers. Each live lesson comes with a DVD featuring 3 to 4 hours of instructor-led classroom training, sample program code that allows you to work along with your personal instructor, and an example-rich study guide. Live lessons allow you to watch the entire course from start to finish, or navigate directly to any of the individual lessons. You'll literally watch over the shoulder of your instructor as he shows you how to build state-of-the-art applications. Live lessons, the power of the world's leading technology experts at your fingertips. To learn more, visit mylivelessons.com today.